Welcome to Annunciation Radio's Faith with Reasons, the program that examines what the church teaches and why. Faith with Reasons.
Well, welcome to it, and my goodness, we are at show number 573 on this tax payment day today on April the 15th. Shayne Stanfield joining us in studio. Hi, Shayne.
Hi, Ron. How are you doing?
Good.
You got to be dry. I'm looking out the window. It's not dry out there.
No, it's not dry out there, and you guys kind of came in right in the middle of a storm.
It got sprinkled on a little bit, but it was nothing like what it's doing right now, so I'm glad we got in ahead of the fierceness of it all.
That's right.
And 573, I remember 500 like it was yesterday.
I know.
Yeah.
It ticks right along, doesn't
Yes,
it?
It does.
Getting older by the minute,
Yeah.
each and every week. Well, we want to thank you for joining us for Faith with Reasons. Of course, as she mentioned in the intro, we try to really kind of explain what the church teaches and why, even though we're not really qualified to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can kind of steer you in the right direction. That's where we have stellar guests.
That's right. We just have to bring somebody in that's, put both of our heads together, and they've got to be better than the both of us.
Exactly. That's the whole point.
That's right.
And boy, we are pleased to welcome newcomers to the faith today.
Literally.
Yeah, Matthew and Lisa Dick are joining us in studio. Former ELCA Lutherans, just received into the Catholic Church at the Easter Vigil. Matt is enjoying retirement as a handyman, young retirement, I might say, and Lisa employed as a teacher. They've been married almost 37 years and have been blessed with 3 children and several grandchildren. And now they are blessed, as the church is, to be joining the faithful coming in at the Easter Vigil. So Matthew and Lisa, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Thank you for coming in.
2 of 14. This is part of my, I guess we didn't mention that. This is part of my bunch at St. Joan of Arc.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
You had a nice
They
big
were easy
class this
pickings.
year, right?
We were talking about this a second. I know a couple of people.
Yeah, that's right. And it's neat because you have so many people coming in from various walks of life, and obviously at different stages, coming from different backgrounds, different age levels, but everybody comes together for a lot of common reasons, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we were talking before the show. I was sorry to pick on you, but it's kind of a rarity. We usually get, as far as spouses are concerned, you have one that's Catholic and another one that wants to come into the church because they want to participate, as a spouse and typically as a family, and both of you at once. So that's a bit unusual, and I'd like to get your experience on how this all came about.
Yeah, so I hope you don't mind that you come in so we can pick your brains a little bit, if that's okay with you.
Sure. We'll do our best.
I would like to start with your background in the faith, different faith traditions. Were both of you Lutheran or what? Let's start with you, Lisa. Where'd you start? Where your childhood and growing up?
Yep. It was a Pentecostal background. I think I'm good. Pentecostal. Went with my grandparents mostly to their small church, and they were both very involved and picked me up for Sunday school on Sundays, to take a nap in the afternoon and go back to service on Sunday evening. Mm-hmm. And we did that for probably until I was at age 10, and then we moved. And then my family, my parents, we found another similar church in the area, and we did that until I guess I met Matt.
Yeah.
Yep, and then we tried to experience some of that together, and we searched a few different times at
So this is as a young married couple, then? You're kind of...
Even, right before
not
then,
necessarily church shopping, but exploring a bit, right?
Yeah.
We had pretty different backgrounds. He tagged along with me once or twice and wasn't exactly comfortable in a different type of that. That was a different experience for him, and I was very used to it. But
Yeah, of course, you were used to it because you were there since a child.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So for those that don't know, if you could just briefly describe the Pentecostal experience, and I'm assuming this is something that Matt was exposed to. He's like, I'm not used to this. So maybe you could share a little bit about that.
a lot of praise and worship.
Yes.
And that was even, not like maybe like today's community churches. It was like a small, think kind of revival every Sunday.
Yeah.
that's kind of the experience.
Lots of energy.
As Matt mentioned earlier before the show, people would speak in tongues, and you would wait for the interpretation to come from some other place inside the church.
Wow.
So it was unique. Summer camp, you expected to be at that.
Yeah.
Vacation Bible school, that was pretty typical too.
Well, just to be engaged, in spirituality, obviously a valuable starting point for everybody.
Yeah.
Now, Matt, what about your experience, growing up, and how were you raised, and have you shifted much?
Yep, I was born into the Lutheran church. I was baptized at Glenwood Lutheran in Toledo, and then my family moved to Zion Lutheran in Waterville, and I went through Sunday school there. And then my parents were actually one of the founding members of Community of Christ Lutheran Church in White House. They were a group of families got together and decided to open a new church. So that's where I was confirmed. And then eventually Lisa and I were married there by Pastor Gotchling, who was a great guy. So I enjoyed my Lutheran background growing up, Sunday school. It was great for a long time. Lisa and I got married. That was one thing, is we're going to always do things together. We're married. We're one. We're going to go to the same church, So Lisa.
Now, was there a lot of discussion about that, or was it Matt going, okay, we're going here?
Yeah, we tried out. I think we went to a couple Pentecostal. We went to a couple different Lutheran churches and settled on St. Paul's in Maumee, and we lived in Maumee, and actually one of the pastors lived right across the street from us, Steve Brown, great guy, and his kids and our kids were the same age and played together every night. So
There are godparents who do about kids.
Godparents, and we loved them. They moved down to Columbus area eventually, and we moved out to White House and started going back to Community of Christ after that. So, yeah, a lot of great memories. Pastor Bueller at Zion and Waterville, Pastor Gotchling, Steve Brown, Pastor Fernie, a lot of great men. So
it's probably a pretty formal process for you, Matt, as being brought up in Lutheran faith. You probably see is similar to Catholic, that you go through a period where you're maybe doing First Communion, you're doing some sort of a confirmation process.
Yeah, it's very similar, and even the service is very similar.
Yeah.
But they're coming to the Catholic side of it was our son-in-law, Drew. He got married to our daughter, Jessie, and then he started to be called back to the Catholic Church. He had been grown up in the Catholic Church, but wasn't attending. So he got called back. So Jesse and they were going to Lutheran service at 8 o'clock, and then Drew's heading over for a Catholic service at 10.
Yeah.
And eventually we're like, why don't you just go be with your husband? And
sure.
Because you got to be together as a married couple. So, So Jesse became Catholic.
So Lisa, you're married in the Lutheran Church. Is that when you became Lutheran? Did you just have to go through some classes?
Yeah, there were some courses similar to like an OCIA catechism, I suppose, is what it was. We went together for that, and I guess Matt was probably my sponsor. And similar experience. And I was accepted into that church, and then, like he said, we were, probably 30 years very happy in the Lutheran church. The girls were all confirmed and had their first communions. We enjoyed that structure for them. They were all always involved in the youth group and Sunday school, taught Sunday school. It was a good experience for us for many years.
So I'm taking you back to maybe the early adult period in your life, when typically somebody has to take more responsibility for their own faith. Did either one of you kind of falter at that point, or did you remain pretty strong in your faith, transitioning from doing what your parents told you needed to do, and you're stepping out on your own?
Well, I think Lisa probably went straight through just fine, but as for me, no, I was a misbehaving adolescent. I got caught up in a lot of current culture stuff, beliefs. I got a science degree in geology, and but then when I met Lisa well, my whole life changed.
She settled you down. Is that safe to say?
Everything changed, and it was like that. It was a pretty instantaneous thing.
Yep.
So.
But you had your roots. I mean, so you can easily go back to your roots.
Yeah.
And so she straightened you out, and you went right back where you belonged. In other words.
Yes, I listened to her.
Very good.
Yeah. And like as far as like the praise and worship piece, I knew I was going to miss that.
Yeah.
I like that experience, and I like that, just that feeling of.
There's an energy there. Yeah.
And so, I can find that other places. I didn't have to be. It was more important that we were together at church, and then I just found I got that other places through music and just a lot of music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Matthew and Lisa Dick are our guests here on Faith with Reasons, recent conferments, I guess, into the Catholic Church through the OCIA program at St. Joan of Arc here in Toledo, and Shayne Stanfield, of course, kind of leading the charge on that.
Oh boy!
Yeah, on horseback, ushering people.
My first class there at St. Joan of Arc. So
let's see, we kind of broke him in. That's pretty good. Yeah.
Can I just jump in and say, if you're even thinking about OCIA, then you should go do it. If you're just even thinking about it, go do it. There's no downside to doing it.
And you're not signing up for eternity. I mean, you might go through OCIA and decide, well, maybe it's not for me, but I learned a whole lot.
You learn a lot, and it's just the basics. You learn, God is love and joy. I mean, that could sum up the whole thing. And OCIA was like that. It was just enjoyable, fun. You learn a lot. Don't worry about it. I know that some of us had some apprehensions going into it, and we were all nervous about what was going to happen. Easter Vigil, were we going to have to recite the Apostles' Creed in front of everybody? It's so scary.
That's the test.
But
that's the test.
It turned out it was absolutely no problem whatsoever. There's no fear of any at all. It was very simple. I actually told Shayne I think he let us off easy for some reason. Maybe, I don't know. But no, we all got the same thing, and it's very simple and a joy.
Mm-hmm. And contrary to what you may have heard, there's no hazing or anything like that. Coming in, and you're learning a whole lot. Now, we've got to fast forward a little bit and take it to that point where I guess that tug first starts happening. Maybe I should learn more about the Catholic Church. What's this all about? Mm-hmm. How did that get started?
Mm-hmm. I think, again, we were 7 years ago, things just weren't clicking for us anymore. There was a change in leadership, and so we weren't attending. But with the daughter having now 7 children, we were at the Catholic Church quite a bit with communion, first communions, baptisms, confirmations, now 2 of them already. And we found ourselves there a lot.
Yep.
Visiting, and it felt fine. We were good there.
It was awkward because I'd either stay in my pew during the Eucharist, which is uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, everybody's looking at you. Why is he sitting?
Everybody's looking at me. Or you got to walk up there and cross your arms, and that seems weird too. Until Shayne explained to me, the priests love to give blessings.
Yeah.
They love for you to come down. They want you to come down. And so that kind of alleviated all that fear. There's no fear there either. There's no reason to worry about any of it. I just was not happy. I don't know. I couldn't have explained it to you at the time why I was not happy with the church, but I just wasn't happy. I was avoiding going. That was not good for the 2 of us to do that.
Yeah.
Made me cranky at me, and I deserved it. But I think that the church was just getting a lot of pressure coming in from social causes, social justice, blah, blah, blah.
I'd like to ask you to clarify that, because you said the leadership changed. Was it the leadership in the actual church, the structure, the building that you're going to itself, or was it coming down from Lutheran Central?
Yeah, Lutheran Central is in Chicago.
Okay,
and but they really didn't have that much impact, I don't think, on the day-to-day at our church. It's a completely different structure than the Catholic Church. one of the examples that dawned on me was, I remember when they were trying to find a new pastor. And basically they would put the word out on the LCA webpage that, hey, this church is looking for a pastor, and here's the demographics, and here's all the information about the church and how much money is coming in, etc. And so pastors could look at that and say, hey, that might be an upgrade for me and my family. That was a better neighborhood. I remember they came and said that they had a guy, and they made him an offer and turned it down because they didn't have childcare, didn't have daycare at the church. So that's the kind of rationale that's coming into making that decision. And the church leaders, it's basically just a group of parishioners that's on the committee that interviews the pastors, and they're looking for somebody who can be charismatic and draw people in and increase number of people coming to church. And so it seems like they're all playing guitars, and they're kind of, it's getting to be a little bit more showy, which I didn't really like.
Now, when you say they, how does a more or less independent church go about choosing its pastor? Do you have a council, or do you have elders? Or
there's a church council, and they form a committee that interviews potential candidates. So it's a very secular model, and I told someone a couple weeks ago, it's almost like going into the portal, the NCAA portal. And they're looking for a better pastor that can attract people, and pastor's looking for a better opportunity, just like a football player. And you compare that to our church now, the Catholic Church, and God's making those decisions. The apostles that have been breathed on by Jesus, and our priests can trace their lineage all the way back to them. They are the ones that pray, talk to God, and make the right decision about the priest, where his best fit for that priest is going to be, and what the needs are of that church.
So I see some potential problems, and just tell me if I'm on the right path here. If you've got a council that and we're all human, but if you're confronted by a pastor maybe that doesn't make him feel very comfortable, maybe he's doing his job, preaches the gospel a little bit better than some, you would have a tendency to get somebody that wants to have somebody a little bit more easygoing. So you can tend to. It seems to me that you could really, you have the potential there to kind of water the faith down, particularly if you're trying to attract people, because you can't attract people by telling them that they're they're sinful and you got to correct their ways. Is that right? I mean,
yeah, sure. And their model is. It seems like they're trying to compete with the big box. That. Churches that are
it's all about money.
That's performative religion, basically. They're putting on a show. It's like the UCLA. I think they just hired a guy that's what his early career was music production and concert promotion.
And that sounds like an evangelical or non-denominational type of a thing.
Is it fair to say it's not more about the numbers, but it's a lot about the numbers? How many people are coming in? How many people you get in? Is that a consideration? Just sheer numbers of people coming?
Oh, sure. You've got to have the revenue stream. You got to bring people in, and they just weren't bringing in young families, I don't think, very well. They had
Sunday school anymore.
Yeah, they're not even doing Sunday school, or they're doing it with another church in combination with another church, I think. So,
and you had obviously some inklings, some influences, brushes with the Catholic Church. Coming to church, to a Catholic church, for your kids and so forth. So, at what point does that start to kind of permeate you and make you decide, I don't want to be a spectator anymore?
Yeah, it didn't take long. we did a weekend of watching some, video taped live stream of some other churches in our community, and it's even more diluted than what we're looking for. So then I come home from work and Matt's telling me, well, I touched base with St. Joan of Arc at OCIA, and we're going to start on Tuesday.
Whoa, okay, so I got to back up a little bit before you realize that your current church isn't quite working. Matt hasn't been attending for quite some time. you're not happy about that. So your last ditch effort is to kind of look at some other similar churches to see, and they're just as bad, if not worse, as far as what we were
looking for.
The problems that you were seeing.
It was more about the man that was in like the pulpit than what
The word.
in the sacred scripture that we were missing.
Yeah. Again, you're bringing in a air quote star. Somebody that gets very, very, very charismatic to draw the people in, because they need to fill the seats, and you had lost touch for quite some time previous to that of the actual gospel message. Wow.
That's not the way Jesus did it, He got up and he taught. And he read the word and he taught the meaning of it. He didn't put on a show. He didn't have a band.
That's
some
fine
people
for
accepted
a
it,
lot
and
of
some
people
people did
enjoy
not.
that. And
There's a place for that, and there's
there's
radio.
still a lot of people we love that are still in those places. And
And there's no doubt that the Spirit is alive in a variety of ways, in a variety of places. It's just when you're going deeper and really kind of, as you say, embracing the Word, when you get drawn closer to Jesus.
yeah, so we did. We looked around a little bit, and then we met
just,
you.
That's pretty amazing. Now
It was about a 48-hour window.
We just decided we're not going further away from the original church. We're going back to the original church.
And you knew that at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, you had enough exposure. Now you mentioned one daughter, okay, Jessie. And I know of Jessie. You have two other children. Where were they at with their faith? Had they moved on? Were they continuing to practice the Lutheran faith elsewhere, same church? No, just kind of drifted away. And do you think that was the cause of that? Because there's just nothing here, and it's just easier to just quit going.
I don't know.
Yeah, we've
You
never
don't
asked them.
Never asked?
No, we would try to get them back, and one would come occasionally.
Yeah.
For Easter, Christmas, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But there's an opening there with one of them.
Yeah.
We see some openings there, and
Because the only reason I ask again, you had your own struggles, and you kind of basically see the church that I wouldn't say grew up in, but we're talking about many, many, many years, and basically raising a family there, and you're kind of seeing it decay. From your perspective, some things that you remember being a constant in your faith life, and it just been slowly watered down. And I just wondered if that had anything to do with this.
Yeah, I think it just, I went to college, and then once you
College will do it. Yeah.
And they just kind of drifted into that secular world, and I think we'll get them back.
And that happened. Well, it happens to Catholic kids as well. I mean, it's the way of the world.
It's part of the age. I mean, and there are so many more demands on every moment of their time than there was when we were young. They have so many more things at their disposal, and access to so much more information that it becomes overload. And to get that, I mean, you have to have the hunger, right, in order to seek out a church or any sort of religion. You have to have that hunger. If you don't have the hunger, it's not your time yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're praying on it.
Yeah, and that's all parents can do. I mean, and I know there's a lot of disappointment there, particularly everything you've just gone through. So your faith is being rekindled, and it's disappointing because you want your kids to have that same thing, but they don't know what they don't know. And I think that's what Ron is saying here. This is something that it comes with timing, and it's really important that we're praying on a regular basis that they'll have a change of heart at some point, and hopefully you're setting an example for them. So that's awesome. So I know we're going to be running out of time here very shortly. I'd really hate to start getting into the whole OCI thing, because that's a big topic. But I do want to know, there obviously wasn't any. There wasn't then any resentment from family that you'd been making this, when I say family, or let's just say family friends, let's just make it very general. Like, why are you doing that? You know, I mean, you know, Matt, you indicated earlier that you have family that built a Lutheran church.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking you got some pretty strong Lutherans.
Well.
Maybe not. I don't know.
It was pretty funny because Easter Saturday night when we were in the church, my brother and his wife were there.
Yes, remember meeting him.
And
yes.
my brother David married a woman from Newfoundland, Catholic, and he is now Catholic. Oh. He converted a year ago,
Okay.
finally.
Yes.
And then Lisa's sister-in-law, Catholic. And so her brother also converted.
Okay.
So they're all Catholic.
Okay, so they were more welcoming you in instead of saying, what did you do?
Yeah, we had 19 people in our house, and there was only one Lutheran left. That's funny.
Well, that's
No, we had, I think everybody that we've talked about it with has been really supportive.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
And
that's
no questions. I've not had any questions like, why would you want to do that? Of course, but we,
One daughter might be a little bit,
might
but
be.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
But
I'm
that
sure.
is interesting because that's really a blessing.
Yeah.
Because there were times when you really received a lot of pushback or a lot of questioning or what are you nuts? You know, kind of queries from people
Yeah.
who were totally anti-Catholic.
Yeah. Yeah. And that happens a lot. You know, I mean, more than you would expect. There are a lot of Christian faith traditions out there that are very, very anti-Catholic, and that's kind of perpetuated. And you just never know what you're gonna get. You know, particularly in families now that are probably more non-denominational. You never know what to expect.
Yeah.
So
We'll take a break.
Hello again, everybody. Peter Sabilio here from Annunciation Radio, where we love your Bible-based questions, and it's my pleasure to help with some answers. Today's question comes from Moira, who asks, what changes during Easter? Everything, Moira. Everything changes in Easter because of Jesus. Just look at where we were on Good Friday. It wasn't so good for Jesus, but it was beyond good for us. Jesus gives his life for ours and shows us the depths of God's love. Jesus was hunted the night before, but by Friday, he was hunting sin and death. He didn't do it with his hands tied behind his back, but with his hands nailed to a cross. And that cross, once a symbol of death, now becomes a universal symbol of life. So Jesus flipped the script. He flipped the script even on Satan. Satan, so hardened in hate, Satan could not believe that the power of love could win even an apparent weakness. But what should have been humanity's greatest rejection of God in crucifying Christ becomes God's greatest acceptance of us in the resurrection of Christ. And that's why I sometimes talk about Jesus judo. He flips everything. He flips the script and everything changes because of him. Your question keeps that change going. Thank you so much for that, Moira. And thank you all for listening. We are listening to you.
Greetings in the risen Lord, everyone. Bishop Daniel Thomas here, the Diocese of Toledo, inviting you to participate in our 2026 Diocesan Annual Catholic Appeal. If you've already given your gift, deepest thanks. If you've not given yet, this is your prompt. So our theme this year, Hope in Action, is because hope is what your support provides. I have to share with you the exciting news that we have already exceeded the donations at this time last year, which is so hopeful and positive that we'll make our goal. You know, the Annual Catholic Appeal supports our work of the parishes and Catholic ministries to care for the needy, educate seminarians, support Catholic school foundations and teachers, and to assist all those in need. Please put hope into action and donate to our annual Catholic Appeal. Eastertime blessings.
The Catholic Church teaches that Jesus Christ is literally and wholly present, body and blood, soul and divinity, under the appearances of bread and wine. St. John the Apostle records the Bread of Life discourse in John chapter 6, in which Jesus states that his flesh is true food and his blood true drink. Who better to understand John's writings and subsequent teachings than a disciple and student of John, St. Ignatius of Antioch? In his letter to the Smyrnians in 110 AD, Ignatius writes about those who hold heterodox opinions, stating, "They abstain from the Eucharist and from prayer because they do not confess that the Eucharist is the flesh of our Savior Jesus Christ, flesh which suffered for our sins and which the Father, in his goodness, raised up again." The Catholic Church absolutely follows St. John and St. Ignatius in taking Jesus at his word. Examining the truths of the Catholic faith, this is faithforensics.org.
Now, back to Faith with Reasons here on Annunciation Radio.
Shayne Stanfield here with Ron Finn, and we have Matthew and Lisa Dick here in the studio with us. They're former ELCA Lutherans who were just received into the Catholic Church at the Easter Vigil. Matt is enjoying retirement as a handyman. Lisa is employed as a teacher. They've been married almost 37 years and have been blessed with 3 children and several grandchildren. And if you haven't heard the first half of the show, I encourage you to go back and listen to that. Basically, getting their background in their time with the Lutheran faith tradition, and they were former students, because you're now Catholic. Yeah. At St. Joan of Arc in the OCIA program, and it was a pleasure having you. And again, it's kind of a rarity to see a couple go through this. Normally, it's usually one spouse or the other that's joining the church with their spouse, and we want to get your perspective as a couple, because this was a big decision that not just one of you had to make, but both of you had to make. And again, go back and listen to the recording of the show to kind of get where they are today and why. But let's talk a little bit about the OCIA process, because this was a big step. Kind of try to figure out if you've already made up your mind that you want to become Catholic. I went back and reread your forms, and both of you had checked off, I definitely want to become Catholic. So that was cemented, And Ron alluded to the fact at the beginning of the program that anybody that's interested in OCIA, you're not making a commitment to become Catholic. That's the most important thing. This is a faith journey. So it could be that you may not be ready to become Catholic. You can go through the entire program. It's free of charge. It's just your time. It's your commitment. But you're
eating pretty good too.
Yeah. Well, we didn't.
You didn't feed anybody?
Don't tell them, Ron.
Wow. It was a lunch. We got to come on.
You do things different over there, but no. But you've got to make a commitment in heart, And if you're not ready, you're not ready. And if you can go through the entire program, and if it's just not the right time for you, then you can just say, I'm not there yet. And that's the important part of that faith journey. It is a big commitment to become Catholic. There are a lot of things that are explained to you right up front. Mm-hmm. Need you to start participating in weekend mass starting now, even though you're not Catholic, because once you become Catholic, that's an obligation. That's something that's a basic of your faith. So you might as well get used to that. And so, you kind of get the swing of things. If those that haven't had the opportunity like you did, you had a lot of visits, with the Catholic faith, attending Mass, with your daughter and her family. But somebody that's not used to that, it may be quite new. But again, this is an opportunity to explore what the Catholic Church teaches. So, I want to ask you, going into this, you said, I want to become Catholic. What were your expectations? What did you have any fears? Did you have any excitement? What did it look like on day one?
I was really excited after our first class.
Why is that?
The apostolic succession was something I had never really had explained to me.
It wasn't the instructor. No.
If it was that too, yeah. He did explain it in such a great way. That,
I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding. Come on.
everything Shane said was amazing. Yeah, that was so exciting.
But apostolic succession. So let me ask you that. And the question for both of you.
That was.
Is this something you never heard before?
I should have.
And you should have, but you didn't.
But I didn't.
should have,
and
Wow.
As Lutherans, we recite that. As Lutherans, we recited that, but no one.
We had a creed.
No one bothered to explain
wait
that.
a minute.
Unless-
We don't have that in the Lutheran Church.
Yeah.
You know, we got a bishop, and we got a presiding bishop in Chicago.
Yeah.
You know, but really the churches are more independent than the Catholic churches are. Mm-hmm. You know, so
There we go. Yeah, that was
little bit too far
that
away.
was exciting. That was exciting. And then just looking at that agenda, like your syllabus, I guess,
Yeah.
that's what we want. And it was like, oh, that's a really long list of things that we're gonna learn about and read about and study. And it was just, I was really excited about it. Just looking at all of the topics and how relevant they were.
So
and
what you're trying to explain so people know is you're looking at a list beginning in
September.
mid-September, concluding
All
at
the
Easter,
way down.
and it's every week. Yeah, so it can look intimidating.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of things in there you were like, "Whoa, this is kind of cool." Okay.
And I would look at, okay, what do we get to do next week? And we would, every Tuesday we were looking forward to class.
yeah, I think we could have handled twice the content each night.
Really?
Oh yeah,
We would need a
Yeah.
part
Easily.
two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Easily.
what are
It
we
was-
going to do now on Tuesdays?
Yeah, I know. You and me both. I mean, it's kind of strange. You get used to not having a Tuesday evening, and then you come back. But so everybody understands that. I made a commitment with everybody. I didn't want to go too late, so I didn't want to start the class.
Yeah.
You know, so we began every Tuesday at 6:30, and we ran until. We began at 6 and ran until 7:30. And I made the commitment that we weren't going to go any later than 7:30. If you want to sit around and talk, that's fine, but I wasn't going to hold the group, because everybody has lives, and it's kind of midweek. Some people may be having a late meal that evening, or they got to go home and they got to take care of things at the end of the evening. So I wanted to be fair, and you don't want to start much earlier than that because people need the time to get home from work and whatnot. So I'm kind of trying to balance all of that. But at least an hour and a half was enough. But you could have had more.
Yeah. And I think we were spending a lot of other time outside of class too, just going deeper into whatever content we were talking about that week. And we were going to Mass every Sunday. We felt pretty obligated from the beginning to just follow along and do the best we could.
Yeah, I like that. I like the you got to go to Mass every Sunday. I like that. That's a condition. It's not a choice. It's not something you. And I kind of like that. I need that kind of structure in my life.
Yeah.
Sure.
So just I think
After taking a seven-year vacation, it's just like,
yeah.
Well, let me ask you, and Matt, coming from a Lutheran perspective, may be different than Lisa's perspective. Any stumbling blocks, or were there any things that coming into this you thought, well, I'm not sure, I love this, and this, I'm not sure about this and this?
Not really.
So you were pretty well
Lisa and I
open.
we're pretty good decision makers. You know, I think we talk. We know each other's. We get each other's thoughts, and we're able to come to decisions pretty quickly on things. And we made this decision. We're not going back to a less further away from the original church. We're going to the original church.
Yeah.
And once we made that decision and that commitment, that was done. That decision's done, and we're moving on from there. And we might come to OCIA and, oh, that's kind of crazy. I've never heard that before, but that's what we believe, and so we accept that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is the nice thing is that we have a pope, we have our bishop, and we have our priests that are there as a magisterium to guide us, to explain the scriptures. And we got to listen to that. We got to listen to them. That's what they are there for, appointed by Jesus.
not to make you comfortable.
Not to make you comfortable, but to really explain the word. And that's really what we love. That's what I go to church for. I want to understand the scripture, because I've tried to read the Bible myself, and I don't understand half of it. You know, I need a guy to tell me, okay, this is why. Let me put that in context. Because back then they didn't look at things the way that we do today. So you got to understand what, you know. And yeah, way back in the Old Testament, God only could give them what they could handle at that time. So you got to understand that. Yeah, you couldn't give them all the rules then. Their hearts were still hardened. And
Sure.
So. But anyway, I guess the point of that is we love the magisterium. We love the structure. It's some people would think that that's a bad thing. I got all these rules, but no, those things are all there to help you. They're there to guide you and save you. So from yourself a lot of times.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. In learning about coming back into the church, so you're saying basically there were no real surprises because you were open to what it really is. You knew you were coming home.
Definitely, there were definitely surprises. I mean, the apostolic succession. That was
so those were new things for you.
Cool things to
was
learn.
really neat.
Yeah.
And then when you hear, I guess too, just the placement of Mary, that's been just really beautiful for me.
Yeah.
Was it like a light bulb? It's like, okay, now it makes sense.
It just all of the experience has just been really beautiful.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. We're closer probably than we've been in a really long time. Not that we needed help or anything like that, but it's just made we have a connection maybe we didn't have for a long time now.
Now, Matt, you said something. We met once more after Easter Vigil, and if I recall correctly, you made a comment somewhere along the lines is that you thought you're Catholic all along.
Yeah,
so explain that. That
was Saturday morning of Easter Vigil. I woke up and I was like, "Today is the day. This is the last day. I'm going to get communion tonight." And just reflecting on that and everything that we've learned, and I'm like, I feel like I've been Catholic my whole life. I just didn't know it. And I wasn't exposed to it.
Yep.
So I wish I'd heard a lot of that earlier in my life, but here we are.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So we're kind of hurry up and catch up.
Yeah.
So we're kind of front loading, we got to do this. Trying to, I read the daily mass now before school and helps me kind of prepare my day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's doing some of his own studies, and so we can't get enough of it.
Well, I wanted to bring that up only because I think it goes hand in hand with what Ron just said. Welcome home. I mean, and I think that's so beautiful because if you're Catholic, you know anything about your faith, you would say it's home. It's home for anybody. Anybody's Christian that's practicing faith outside of the church. They're practicing essentially bits and pieces of Catholic teaching, and it is a reality when you're preparing, when you're reflecting to come into the church Saturday morning of the Easter Vigil, and coming to that realization that I've been Catholic, I just didn't know it, and now you're experiencing the fullness of the Christian faith, and how beautiful is that? How would you describe this now that you've gone through the basics? You went through Catholic 101, by the way. So how would you describe this as your faith journey? I mean, and I want to ask this for both of you. So once your personal experience, you're on a I can't even do the math in my head right now. September to Easter, you're however many months that is total. That was a faith journey for you. What was it like? Lisa, we'll start with you.
Yeah. Every day I was eager to get up and get started with the daily reading.
You started daily readings. You took my advice.
Yep,
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I did the daily reading, and then what's the name of the little book? It's a daily mass, and then there's a liturgy at the end, and then you can read
do a reflection. Okay.
So I did that.
Not sure what publication you.
Yeah,
there's
the
a few
one that
of
we
them.
get at the door.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Maybe
Among Us or what?
Yes,
maybe.
that one.
Yeah.
That was the one.
Okay.
So I've been reading. It was just, I just thirsty every morning. I need more.
Yeah. That's beautiful hunger.
Yeah. Just kind of every day I'm just thirsty for more, and looked forward to our classes looked forward to Sunday Mass. It was just, we've prayed the rosary several times with the family, and now there's like, so now that we got the Eucharist, it's just that process. It's also so beautiful watching the priest prepare that is just, I'm in awe of it.
Yeah.
Watching it. Yeah. I'm finding other things to experience. We're probably going to do a little pilgrimage of basilicas around the town.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
that's just, for me, it's just just very fulfilling. And
Do you feel like you were jumping in the deep end of the pool? Or were you wading in?
yeah, just kind of, I'm like floating on my back. It's all feeling really good.
All right. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
Just
that one.
floating. It's
Yeah,
just,
great analogy.
It's just really nice.
Yeah.
It's been
Very
really
good.
great for me. And
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. It's
how about
been
you,
fun.
Matt?
Yeah, I'm reading an email. I get signed up for an email from Catholic Exchange.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
called.
Yeah.
That's really nice, as it has some articles that are very interesting. You have 3 or 4 articles, and then you can read the readings for the day.
Yeah.
And then Lisa and I, before we go to bed, we do the Vespers and Compline together, which is really, really nice. So, yeah, we've got a whole library of stuff now. People keep giving us more
I'll bet.
reading materials. And
Wait till
I
Christmas.
need to retire so we can be full time.
Yeah.
So would it be safe to say you two are on fire?
smoldering at least.
Yeah.
All right, all right. Well, I mean, so that's got to be exciting because it's not just one of you; it's both of you. You went through the same, and this goes back to what I said before. It doesn't happen very often, but both of you go through OCIA together. So, what is that like?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to be feeding each other, and you're gonna have a bonfire going here real soon. I can see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been very good for us in our marriage, and it's been fun.
Well, it's just praying together and the rosary and the fact that you're making use of a lot of Catholic resources out there, that stokes the flame. I mean, that's basically just going to make the fire even stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah, my son, my son-in-law and daughter, they even had a rosary. They had a couple rosary nights where they invite another family over, and they got about
cool.
Not another
We've got-
family. There was like 50 kids there.
Oh, yeah.
Huge.
Our grandkids are Avery, Braden, Cole, Christian, Hannah, Audrey, and Leo. And Leo was born just before Pope Leo changed his name to Leo.
Oh, wow.
So that was kind of a foreshadowing.
Yes.
Pope Leo took after our daughter. But yeah, they have Rosary Night. I don't know, probably had 20 kids there. And they're all doing it. I mean, and our one grandkid does it on his toes, you know.
We won't mention his
so-
name.
That's why God gave us 10 of them.
That's right.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I know that they're very excited for us. I mean, when they each made us a card. Each of the kids wrote us a card and gave us encouragement. And
Avery made us rosaries. She's a really talented
yeah,
girl.
yeah,
Going to be a freshman next year.
yeah.
Oh, that's neat.
But yeah, it's just, and other people that since we've come into the church, there's everybody, even that after the vigil, and people just, grabbing us and like, welcome, we're so happy for you.
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, it's been,
Yeah,
everybody's
met a
been,
lot of really, really nice people. It's been nice.
Now, I'm not sure what the experience from non-denominational churches, Lutheran churches, other parishes, as far as the difference in how it is from church to church. I know a lot of people do a lot of church shopping to find the right one. But the one thing you notice, you'll probably find as you attend other churches too, other Catholic parishes, the Catholic Mass is the same no matter where you are
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
You're always
amazing.
going to feel at home because it's not, they don't deviate from it.
Yeah, during Holy Week, we visited, I think, 4 different parishes. And
Oh, yeah.
We did a mass a day.
we did a
every
mass a day.
Well, I mean,
And it
Little
felt
bit.
like,
A little different here and there, little differences, Like the one church we went to is pretty small. They didn't have musical instruments. They had just an organist.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
It was a lot simpler.
Yeah, it was fun.
But
But you always get the liturgy
yeah.
of the Word,
Yep.
and you get the liturgy of the Eucharist.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get the opening and the
all
closing.
the important stuff is
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it was good.
So
I enjoyed that.
you've got experience obviously with the Mass. You had it even before you started OCIA. I got a T-shirt, and I do a T-shirt ministry. So I got many shirts, and just about every one of them are Catholic based. And I have one that says Catholicism is not a spectator sport.
Okay.
Would you agree?
Oh,
Not
yeah.
a spectator sport. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's not. You find yourself participating, don't you?
It was another thing that we
Yeah.
really, mentioned.
Yeah.
Like that was important. Like you don't realize how much engagement there is going
Yeah.
on during the Mass
Yeah.
until you're like, oh, I'm going to get to do this. It's like I'm getting to experience something,
Mm-hmm.
and that's been also really refreshing for me.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah, we both know that we have a lot to learn.
Oh,
so
gosh,
so
so
we're
much.
like, oh my gosh, we got a lot to learn.
We got to play catch up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
And that's fine. And that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. So that journey really doesn't end. You just keep learning more and more.
Are either of you drawn in a particular area? I mean, do you feel like called to maybe look into church history, read the church fathers? Anything in particular excites either one of you? Where you was like, I want to go there now. I gotta. You were. So Matt sends me an email, and we were given a presentation. I brought somebody in, and he prepares this email, and he comes back and he says, "Well, I was looking at this. I hope I'm not out of line, but you were reading Thomas Aquinas."
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, if I no, you're not out of line. Please keep reading.
I can't remember what the issue was.
I was blown
It
away.
was on the Beatitudes. And,
I was blown away. I'm
wanted
reading Thomas Aquinas, and I thought,
yeah. Well, a couple of the Beatitudes, even after the presentation, weren't really clear to me.
They weren't clicking,
I was
yeah.
like, what the heck? So
there's a lot. There's a lot there. There's a lot to cover. But I was blown away because you're reading somebody that's that's impressive.
And for some of the Beatitudes, he had up to 3 different explanations for that Beatitude, 3 different ways that you could interpret it, and each one of them is okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So that's just, it's amazing. 'Cause so much in the Bible is hard for the layperson to really understand. So,
Yeah.
and it's just so much fun to get that puzzle solved and actually understand it.
Or just researching. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Catholics that really don't understand transubstantiation, real presence of Christ in the Eucharist, and you're receiving the body and blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus when you go to communion. Was that a difficult thing to grasp? Is that something that you're still grappling with, or how do you feel about that?
I don't have any problem with that. It's a weird one for sure.
Yeah.
Because you went from symbol
the
to
bread and the wine remains in appearance bread and wine, but somehow it's also body and blood of Christ. Well, we're talking about God here. Okay, we're talking about God. We're talking about Jesus. That's what he said. This is my body. This is my blood given to you for forgiveness of sins. Yeah, I am the Paschal Lamb. So we don't need to understand that.
Right.
We don't need to. It's I take it in. I'm taking him at his word.
Yeah.
And that's fine with me.
That's why they call it faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's probably the most beautiful part about that. We're in this is very scriptural too. Jesus in people asking for signs. We need to see signs. Of course, you get Downey Thomas. I'm not going to believe unless I put my finger in his side. And of course, he gives that to Thomas. Okay, but blessed are those that that don't need to see and believe. And of course, paraphrasing. But I'm trying to tie this into this conversation. I think that's the most beautiful thing about the Eucharist because we're being called to believe in something that we don't see. Yeah, it looks like, it tastes like, it smells like this bread and wine, but the gift that we're being given here, body, blood, soul, and divinity of Christ is amazing.
Yep. And I remember back to my Lutheran days where you'd had these tiny little plastic cups, and there was a drop of wine left in every one of those.
It's wine. It's not grape juice.
Well, you have grape juice in the center, but the rest of them are wine.
Okay.
Most of it's wine. If you don't want to have wine, there's grape juice. And then there's little shards of bread all over the floor when it's all done. And now, oh my gosh, Eucharist now is 1,000 times more meaningful this way. Back, with the, I guess it was more like, do this in remembrance to me. You might as well be having a hamburger. Or,
I mean, in literally, I don't know how or why. It ended up this way. Well, I do. I mean, if you're going to walk away from the Catholic Church, you have to make something up. You have to backfill that somehow. And of course, these various faith traditions essentially had to do that. I was just having a conversation the other day that I can't even go back and wrap my head around what I was raised in, because they were little Wonder Bread squares, and it was little they were like mini shot glasses of Welch's grape juice, and I have no clue what that whole thing was about. And it almost seems very foreign to me now. I mean, based on what I know, and as long as I've been Catholic, knowing what I know now and looking back on that, it's a head scratcher for me. But look what the two of you have now. I mean, this is great.
Yeah, we're excited. Yep.
What's next?
We got a little camper that sitting out behind our barn that we want to haul around the country and do some bicycling and some hiking in national state parks. But now I'm also mapping out basilicas and cathedrals along the way.
Might as well make it a pilgrimage.
And we might even go for a mass a day when we're doing that too, just for fun.
There's an app for that, Mass Times.
Yeah.
So
masstimes.org.
masstimes.org. My recommendation with that is a lot of times they don't catch up with changes in churches. So a church, for whatever reason, might make a last minute change to their schedule. Find the church based on your location with Mass Times, and then go to the church website, make sure the times are correct. But it's a great app to use. Yeah.
That's our next plan.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That sounds great.
Thank you.
Well, welcome home.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So
Appreciate
glad to
it.
have you in the studio as well to talk about this, and I'm sure it'll be an inspiration for a lot of other people out there. A lot of folks coming into the church this past Easter Vigil.
Yeah.
And we pray that that trend continues, right? Because there's so much misinformation, disinformation, hate, and anger out there, and division, that you really need truth. You're seeking truth. And you find it in the Catholic Church.
Indeed. Thank you.
Thanks to both.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Matt and Lisa Dick, ladies and gentlemen. And Shane, you done good.
Oh. Well, it's a blessing to have both of you, too.
Thanks.
So, thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
Thanks for joining us for Faith with Reasons. Have a blessed day. Happy Easter.